just love nostalgia, don't you? It's been great listening to the technologies of the last century. But we're here to talk about the technologies of the future. Bill Clinton once said, never mud wrestle with a pig. You both get dirty, but the pig enjoys it. But let me wrestle just a tad bit. Mr. Palmer asserted that as sure as the sun comes up tomorrow, coal's going to increase. Mr. Palmer, I hate to tell you, the sun does not come up, the earth turns. And that shift of mental model is to some extent what we're talking about. Sure, you can project energy demand growth forever, and we can't get there. This august body put forth some really good science showing that humans have polluted or overexploited 2/3 of the ecosystems upon which life depends, and the rest are in trouble, to the point that the ability of the planet's ecosystems to sustain future generations can no longer be taken for granted. Kofi Annan said the very basis for life on Earth is declining at an alarming rate. My friend, the business leader Ray Anderson, put it a little bit more simply. What's the business case for ending life on Earth? We live now in the 6th great period of extinction in all of life on the planet. And there is nothing to say that humans have to hang around. That's our choice. And the choices that we make about energy technology will determine whether or not people live and die, and whether or not we hang around as a species. There is no fish that you can catch in U.S. waters that is not polluted with mercury, and Mr. Palmer, that comes from your coal plant. I'm sorry, coal is not clean, and there is no way that you can make it clean. My friend Bill Becker, who ran the Presidential Climate Action Project, said if we insist on ruining the planet, we're going to have to stop claiming we're a superior species. Climate change is very much for real. Mr. Palmer's company pays for the climate deniers to go around the country to chambers of commerce saying, oh, if you do anything about climate, it's going to ruin your business. And he says that, well, this is a societal problem. Despite the fact that my industry made something like, $60 billion, we don't have to put money into clean coal. That's the taxpayer's responsibility. With all due respect, if those are my tax dollars we're talking about, there's some other places I'd like to see them go. My great concern right now is the Himalaya. Waters at least 40% of people on Earth, and the glaciers are melting. Or the Murray-Darling Basin in Australia, where the river no longer runs. And the second largest rice mill in Southeast Asia had to shut down 2 years ago, triggering the food riots we saw on 3 continents. Climate is real, it's here, it is today's problem. This is not tomorrow's problem. Whether you're talking about major floods, major wildfires like the ones now burning in Los Angeles that yesterday killed 2 people. Global warming is global. And it's happening now, and we caused it. Dr. Jim Hansen, NASA, says don't ask what's possible, ask what's necessary. What's necessary is 350 parts per million. We're at 387 now. He said if the U.S. fails to act, and I speak now to those of us who claim to be Americans, if we fail to act this year, it will become too late. Copenhagen will fail. Some of you may know I'm on Danish national television with a bet with Connie Hedegaard, the Danish energy minister, betting that Copenhagen will fail. It's our job to make it not fail. I'd love to buy Connie a bottle of whiskey. Dr. Pachauri, the man who said, I cannot, as the objective head of the IPCC, speak on behalf of the IPCC, last week said the number is 350. We cannot burn any more coal. We simply cannot build any more coal plants and expect to survive as a species. Yeah, the science is uncertain. You can pick holes in any bit of it. Here's the science I like. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Now, I say that with all deference to the great scientists, but if all you are is a profit-maximizing capitalist, you will do exactly the same thing you would do if you were scared to death about climate change, because we know how to solve this problem at a profit, and it's happening. DuPont, some years ago, set a goal of cutting its emissions 65% below its 1990 levels by 2010 with increasing production. DuPont joined Greenpeace. They made this announcement in the name of increasing shareholder value. They've done rather well. They've already hit their goal. They're 80% below for savings between 2000 and 2005 of $3 billion. And check it out, 2007, their eco-efficiency was saving them $2.2 billion a year. That was the same as their profitability. Here's a company that's profitable because it's squeezing out waste. Just good business. My staff walked into a company that had 6,300 computers and monitors they left on 24/7 because of 5 urban myths. Oh, it shortens the lifetime to turn it off and on. Well, no. Or IT needs it on. No. Just turning them off saved that company $700,000 a year. Now, that's money that you can take, put in a bank account, and use to capitalize efficiency measures that cost you money. We can pay for a transition just out of doing what's smart. Unused computers, computers with nobody sitting in front of them, cost this country $2.8 billion a year. That's something like 18% of the costs of running a commercial office building. ST Micro, global company, said, we're going to go further. Zero net CO2 emissions by 2010 with a 40-fold increase in production. When they made this announcement, they had no earthly idea how to achieve it. Figuring it out drove their corporate innovation, took them from the number 12 chip maker in the world to the number 6. They're winning awards, setting renewables goals. They reckon by the time they're done, they'll have saved about $1 billion. You can go company by company by company around the world. Efficiency is the best renewable resource. It's low-hanging fruit that grows back. If you don't care, chat with these gentlemen. Group of young people out of the UK who sent out a few years ago a little survey to the Financial Times 500 saying, what's your carbon footprint? For a few years, everybody ignored it until 3 years ago when 60% of the world's biggest companies answered the survey. Last year, it was over 80%. Why? Well, because they represent institutional investors with $55 trillion in assets. If you're going to go to the capital marketplace, you might want to answer their question. For another, under Sarbanes-Oxley, the new U.S. corporate ethics law, if as a manager you fail to disclose to shareholders information that can materially affect the value of stock, you can be personally, criminally liable. What's your carbon footprint? Calculation now. What is the risk, the commercial risk to businesses that are not managing their carbon footprint? Carbon-intensive manufacturing could lose 40% of market value. Even banks, just office buildings, almost 30%. Mr. Palmer, you had a nice industry. You had a good run of it. There's a pen sitting up here. 150 years of Peabody coal. Well done. Walmart, the largest retailer in the world until Exxon took them over a little while ago, the biggest company in the world, hired the Carbon Disclosure Project to go to their suppliers in China and say, what's your carbon footprint? Walmart has set goals of 100% renewable energy, zero waste, carbon neutral, and sell only sustainable products. Walmart, the evil empire. Why? Because their stock price was falling. They were the most reviled company in the economy. They were run out of Germany because people didn't like their policies. They stopped buying there. Since their green announcement, their stock is up. Walmart, last October, called together their 1,000 largest suppliers in China and laid out a supplier scorecard. Things like, are you recording your greenhouse gas emissions? Are you using renewable energy? Where's your material coming from? 15 separate questions. This July, they rolled it out to their entire supply chain. If you are not managing your carbon footprint, Walmart is not going to buy from you.